I have used microaggressions against my own race.
I hated being Asian growing up. I despised it. And I just remember making the crudest, most horrible jokes because in some way I felt like this was expected of me to make everyone feel comfortable about my adoption.
What is the experience like for transracial adoptees in America? We partnered with Lionsgate on their upcoming film Joyride to hear the stories of real-life adoptees and how their experiences shaped their lives.
Adopted kids are more screwed up than biological kids. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm really curious about you two first.
Yeah.
I know so many biological kids that are screwed up. And they were raised in like a...
You think this is true?
Yeah. They don't have, I've seen it firsthand, they don't, it's a sense of the theory of not having a dad. You're craving for something that you think you're supposed to be a part of so that you can get to a bigger journey. But as you get older, you learn you just get to the journey within yourself. But you start off fucked up.
Yeah, you start off fucked up. I kind of agree with that. It's like, I mean, even if you have a father figure, right? It's proven that human beings do not treat children the same when it's adopted compared to when it's their blood. And that's just the percentage-wise, right? I'm not saying everyone's like that, but generally that's what it is. And that's why children who are adopted have a higher chance of being beat.
Go.
I'm really curious about you two first.
I know so many biological kids that are screwed up. And they were raised in like a healthy, nuclear, cliche, white picket fence family. And I know several adopted kids that are so successful, that are doing great. I mean, shout out Simone Biles. She went to the Olympics and she was adopted.
Can I move? Like, she changed my mind a bit. Like,
Come on!
Can I?
I'm like, she has a point there. I can't.
No, I can strongly disagree with that.
No, because like the thing is, she changed my mind on that because
That's
like,
the thing, like I was saying. You can always point to the exception. To the rule. Like, you can always point to the person who's doing well.
What about the person that's not doing well?
But you gotta have a good basis of comparison before you say, oh, that one person I know who's doing well is the majority.
Yeah, that one person you know is in the limelight. She's was she Olympian?
But what if the flip side? That's still not a good example. They used her as cattle. They benefit off of her because they did this. They used her as a stereotypical black thing. She's strong enough to run, man. Run, boy. You know.
Wait there, I can't.
No, I can strongly disagree with that.
No, because like the thing is, she changed my mind on that because like as a foster kid, like somebody who went through all that, we are f***ed up, you know, like we go through so much, like through that whole process, seeing and feeling neglected from like the foster parents, but I don't let my past, where I grew up, like define who I am to make me screwed up.
Yeah, so I'm on strongly agree because I've been through a few therapeutic boarding schools, wilderness programs. One of them, I remember, it's a place where wealthy parents send their children, so it's privilege, and even with all that privilege, everybody there was messed up, just saying like they weren't stable, whether it was a drug addiction or just like bad temper or violence. Adoptees all carry this trauma. Maybe it has something to do with identity and not knowing a lot about our background. Well, some of us not knowing a lot about our background. I think like we don't even have a birthday. And me personally going through that and growing up in a colorblind environment, it's kind of like we were left to fend for ourselves. And I think any children that have to fend for themselves are gonna go through some messed up shit. But yeah.
So, thank you for sharing, by the way. I look at this question through two lenses, the adopted community as a whole.
We were left to fend for ourselves, and I think any children that have to fend for themselves are gonna go through some messed up shit. But yeah.
She's speaking facts. Now she's speaking, now we're hearing more facts.
Yeah, modern day slavery. This is how slaves felt. Literally. This is how slaves felt.
I mean, I wouldn't say being adopted is as bad as being a slave.
No.
But I understand what you're saying.
Not having a name and all of those
and
things.
not having a birthday, coming from something that you know, dragging you out of that. You got to learn a new language. You don't know your background. This is modern day slavery. Some of them are getting beat like how slaves got beat too.
Yeah, it's kind of like that because you're basically, because when you're a slave, you get picked and you get sold.
Yeah, they buy.
What do you do at an adoptee?
They buy these
at
children.
An adoption center. They pick you and they take you home.
And she just said that they don't even have a birthday.
Some people. What would you rather though? These kids who don't have parents.
I feel like people. The system doesn't do enough research and look into people first before they adopt kids. They just let people adopt kids because they want the kids to be gone and they don't want the kids to have, whatever it is that it may be. And a lot of kids that are being adopted are getting abused and all these things because people are not getting looked into.
So this goes into pro-life. Do you think that the pro-life movement is beneficial if this is gonna be an outcome? It's not. You shouldn't let people just disintegrate the child, because if they don't disintegrate the child, they grow it and they give it up for adoption. This is what happens. People come out, they don't have birthdays, and it's a modern day slavery thing. And it's not just black kids, Asian kids, white kids as well. Mm-hmm. So is pro-life a good movement, or should we just let people make their own choices?
Well, check this out. Our father was actually adopted, FYI, which is why I feel like we can talk about this just a little bit more intimately, right? And he always
by people, by family though.
But still, I feel like he still has a sense of not knowing who he is. He wants to know.
That's the thing, right?
I feel like that too.
Even our father, who was adopted and who had great parents, that he always goes back to saying how his father was always so patient with him, how his mom was always there for him, right? Great. I knew them too. They're great. But he always wondered about his mom. He always wondered about...
This is how you said it. I knew them too. They were great.
I mean, they were cool people, man. They were great. I mean, but at the end of the day, he was still adopted, and you can tell, especially the fact that his mom passed when he was so young, how it affected him growing up.
Right.
Right? He doesn't talk about it often, but it affected him negatively.
Yeah, it did, because it affected the friends that he was around, like having Spanish friends, to know a little bit about the Spanish heritage and knowing where that to come from. I feel like he wanted to know,
and that's why he chose the friends he chose.
Yeah, he wanted to know Spanish and stuff like that, because his mom is Puerto Rican, his dad is Dominican. He is Spanish, but because he got adopted by Caribbean people, he adapted.
And he's dark skinned. He's dark skinned Spanish.
Right. So he got adapted to the Caribbean culture, but I don't think he identifies with that. I think he wants to be able to speak the language. Because he's went to Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic.
I know, for sure.
But yeah.
So, thank you for sharing, by the way. I look at this question through two lenses. The adopted community as a whole is 4 times more at risk of suicide than non-adopted counterparts. I think that adopted kids are more at risk for struggle, not because of us, but because of society and because of the dominant narrative of white saviorism that is all surrounding adoption. We all know this narrative, but the narrative for those that don't know is this notion of adoptees should feel lucky, adoptees must be grateful, and gratitude is related to this idea of repayment. The effect of that is that we as adoptees, as a whole community, feel like we're less worth than our non-adopted counterparts. It makes us feel like you should repay your life that you were given. You should repay the fortunes that were given to you. And for little kids, how can we repay something that's immeasurable? And it's not fair for us as little kids to have that weight, that burden on us while growing up. And because we have that weight, because we have that burden, that's what, so to speak, messes us up.
You're bringing back some stuff. I'm like, Jesus.
I chose to be on this side because I felt if I was on that side, it'd be denying my experience as an adoptee, the fear of abandonment that feels inherent to being an adoptee. Because of that, I have definitely been in relationships.
I don't know. Going back to Dad, I can almost see that on him too. That he's always kind of felt, even before he had all of us, he's always kind of felt like he had that weight on his shoulders. Yeah. But he never really explained why.
Right. But he felt like he had to do something great in the world because they took him out of a hard time. He could have been dead.
Right. Yeah, he could have. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're bringing back some stuff. I'm like, Jesus.
I chose to be on this side because I felt if I was on that side, it'd be denying my experience as an adoptee, the fear of abandonment that feels inherent to being an adoptee. Because of that, I have definitely been in relationships I shouldn't have been in, toxic ones, and relationships for way too long. What comes with that then is like feeling like you have to prove that you're worthy of love constantly because of the inner voids and wounds of being abandoned as a baby or just abandoned in general.
Yeah.
Those wounds cut deep.
That. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Matea. I am adopted from China in the 90s during the winter.
Or when you lack a motherly figure in a way that you feel in a more feminine way. 'Cause I remember Grandma, Heavenly, she was masculine as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you guys will remember her.
The times that we got to see her,
but
she did
great woman, but she was masculine. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was aggressive, she was masculine. Even in the stories Dad tells, you can tell how masculine she was.
But I feel like she came off that way to him because she felt like she had to protect him and be a guardian.
Yes.
Because of what happened to him.
So very motherly and protective. But that feminine energy that he needed growing up, I don't think he ever got. Which, you know.
I was going to say, too, with the abandonment issues that she's talking about, that's why he made it a point to be in our lives.
Yes.
Because of that whole abandonment that she was talking about.
Yeah. Dad will definitely say, you know, he had a choice to go elsewhere. He did have a choice to be elsewhere.
Yeah.
But he consistently made the choice to be around us.
Right.
And that's one thing. You can say what you want about Dad, but he's there.
Yeah,
bro.
He definitely.
You know how many kids like us don't have a dad?
Yep. I think about that all the time. That's why I be
Kids that grew up in divorce don't have a dad.
Yeah.
Our dad stayed even after divorce, bro. Just throwing out there.
Wounds cut
Felt
deep.
that. Yeah. Hi, my name is Matea. I am adopted from China in the 90s during the one-child policy. So one thing I'm super grateful about with my parents is they really valued making sure that my brother and I experienced our heritage. Every summer, we would go to this camp that specifically focused on our Chinese heritage and taught us different aspects of it. So like language, calligraphy, dance, martial arts. And so that was a really special and I think important experience to have as a transracial adoptee.
Hi, my name is Eli. I'm 23 years old and I was adopted from South Korea at 9 months old. I have 4 adopted siblings also from Korea and I grew up in Denver, Colorado, so not a lot of diversity there. And I'm actually about to go look for my birth parents this fall.
Hello, good humans. We hope you're enjoying this very special episode of Spectrum. I'm here with the director of this episode, Liz.
Hey, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think learning martial arts is really their culture though? It's like Americanized.
Well, that wasn't the only thing. And martial arts is part of the
But
culture.
it's still Americanized in a way that you're not going to really learn the culture unless you have an ancestor.
The meditation of it.
Well, she said that their parents took them to Chinese, a Chinese place to learn these things, to learn the language. That's what she said.
They were probably learning the meditation and the mind
Yeah.
thing of it first.
So she probably wasn't learning martial arts. She probably learned kung fu.
She probably just briefly said it's your own thing, you know. Okay.
Dude, that would be nuts if the example she's given and she went to other white people to learn that stuff.
Yeah, it would be.
That would
That's
be
what I'm
crazy.
saying. But
That can't be what she said.
Man, you never know, because being adopted, especially by white people, they would do some shit like that to erase the culture. Be like, listen, I gave you the culture, but in my way, and that's the fucked up part.
Yeah, it is.
Not a lot of diversity there. And I'm actually about to go look for my birth parents this fall.
Hello, good humans. We hope you're enjoying this very special episode of Spectrum. I'm here with the director of this episode, Liz.
Hey everyone. We're excited to be partnering with Lionsgate in bringing together this group of transracial adoptees to promote their upcoming movie, Joyride.
This movie centers around a group of friends who embark on a crazy journey across Asia with Audrey, an Asian woman
Who's adopted by white parents
to find her birth mother. And it ends up being a trip full of twists and turns that's heartfelt and hilarious.
As a transracial adoptee myself, I love that an adoptee narrative can cross genres into a wild comedy.
Yes.
But my favorite part of it is that there's such a powerhouse cast of AAPI actors.
Some of our very favorite people, like Ashley Park.
Transracial adoption should not be allowed.
Basically saying that you
Hold on,
can't.
let's
So
break
if-
down transracial for people that don't know. Keep me.
Basically saying, I would if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's basically saying like a white parent can't adopt a black kid. Just vice versa.
That's what I believe that they're saying. And if that's the case, then no black kids will ever fucking get adopted.
Yeah.
Like,
Because we're in a community where we're not even equipped to adopt our own kind. If we really want to be real.
Yeah.
I'm be real. The only black people I ever known to adopt people adopted children in the hordes. Like the woman that used to live across the street, she had like 8 adopted children, and some of her own as well.
Yeah.
But you gotta ask yourself, how, like, why? Why do we go about it that way?
It's the cattle.
It's the cattle,
It's
and
like the modern
every
day
single
slavery.
one of those adoption kids,
They get paid for it.
exactly, they get
They
money
get
for it.
paid for it.
Yeah.
That's my point. And for me, it's just like, you put a rule like this, and you're just going to see more of that, in my opinion. You're not going to see less of it. You know, you want, like, if there's a chance for a black kid to have great parents for a white parent, then by all means, please.
But I see what they're saying.
But I also see why they're asking that
what
question.
they're saying from this, because then you get people that don't know about black issues, which are considered coons.
I would agree with that, but here's my problem with that already. In this day and age, what black people know about their history?
That's true.
And that's even a bigger problem.
Well, but what it's not know about the history. We want to know, because
that's
like
what
you said, we have the internet. We could want to know, but do we really want to know?
So I said, how many people want to know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cross genres into a wild comedy. Yes. But my favorite part of it is that there's such a powerhouse cast of AAPI actors.
Some of our very favorite people, like Ashley Park,
Sherry Cola,
Stephanie Hsu, Sabrina Wu, and many more surprises. There's definitely some pretty raunchy moments in the movie, but I love that it really just breaks the mold of how the API community has been portrayed on screen up until now.
Yeah, it is fresh, and I felt uncomfortable watching it with my mother.
So please go watch with your mother. Joyride is coming out in theaters on July 7th, and you can buy your tickets now.
All right, now let's get back to the episode.
We'll see you guys. Bye.
Transracial adoption should not be allowed. 3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
We're all transracial adoptees. That would be saying that you would be against your own adoption. And I think I just want to add also, it's different from being colorblind. That's not why I'm here.
So she's obviously came from a family where she was adopted by white people, and they didn't give a fuck about her heritage.
She hated them.
And she hated it. And she hated it for her. Like, you can tell that, like, a child's gonna feel that. A child's gonna see, I'm different.
Exactly. I could argue the point that maybe they wanted her to go out and experience that on her own, maybe go look for her birth mom and try to get a relationship and learn heritage through there.
Depending on what age she was.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna tell you this right now.
They didn't want to force that.
When a child is adopted, going to see the birth parent is not ever something that you can imagine is even gonna happen. That's a hopeful thought.
And that happens when you get older, not when you're.
And that also happens when you get older. That's not a thing that you do when you're younger.
Think about when you're older.
But then it's too late.
But depending on how.
I don't think anything's ever too late.
Well, not too late, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. You want to live a certain way, then learn it when you're a child.
Right.
You want to live a certain way, learn it when you're a child.
The routine. Certain foods we don't eat. We don't crave McDonald's and stuff like that. It's routine, and it was taught over a consecutive amount of time.
And I'm saying, like, depending on when she was adopted, they could have incorporated all of those things from when she was young, and then she could have got to experience when she got to school or whatever.
This is my thing, right? If you're adopting children, you should do the research about where that child came from so that you can teach the child who they are. Otherwise, why are you adopting that child?
Exactly, and then also teach them the other things about the world that can also help them as
That's
well.
what a parent does. That's obvious. But when you're adopting a child that's not even of your race, then you got to do some research. It's not just about you, right? It's about the child.
Yeah. And on Sex and the City and Just Like That, they have an Asian child, and they're raising the Asian child as Jewish. Do you think that that's fair to the Asian child?
I don't see them incorporating any
type
of her heritage in that show, any of that stuff. They just raise her like she's a white Jewish girl.
Yeah, a white Jewish child, like the child that they have.
And that's not going to help that Asian little girl when she's older.
She says
and
it.
thinks
She's
that
like,
she's
I don't even know myself.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be this perfect girl because that's what you raised me up to be. But who am I? Yeah,
and Just Like That. Yeah, the new season.
Yeah. It's called Sex and City?
It's called And Just Like That.
And Just Like That.
And Just Like That?
Yeah.
So text me that later.
Okay.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're all transracial adoptees. That would be saying that you would be against your own adoption. And I think I just want to add also, it's different from being colorblind. That's not why I'm here, just to clarify.
Okay, theoretically, let's say we were on agree for one reason. Do you guys have any gripes against transracial adoption?
Well, yeah, like I guess like what I just said a little bit.
Savior complex.
Savior complex.
I mean, there are people in the world who I think view transracial adoption as this like, oh, I'm doing a cool thing. Like, I've met people who have said those specific things where they're like, I've always just wanted a black child, you know, but that's it. There's no like, why do you want a black child? Or, you know, or like, it was like a savior mentality almost. And I do think that it's really important as further we go to have that education and to not go in with it with a colorblind stance, because it does do a lot more harm, at least it did for me growing up, than, yeah, just opening up your kids to the culture that they came from.
Yeah, no, you really spoke to something. All my friends that are Black or Arabic have all this culture that they grew up with, and they like years and years of like learning stuff, and that's what I missed out on. So for the future generations and people who are adopting right now, I think the biggest thing would be to stop being colorblind, because we're not helping the kids.
Yeah.